know that one now.
You do.
Well, yes.
You're well developed.
Yeah.
You're well developed.
Had some good handlers, some good folk guiding me.
My son.
Gina didn't call me.
So those fire engines mean the wind just picked up and it means another fire.
Where?
I'm not sure where, but that's what it means. You saw Arlene is back on. She's back from her medical leave, so she's back on the board.
No,
Yeah, she had just taken a leave of absence for her surgery.
she didn't write us.
Yeah, she did. She wrote everyone, and everyone. You haven't written back, but Priya hasn't written back.
I haven't seen it, Jenny. I've been working.
You know, I'm just letting you know. I just said, did you see? And you say, no, she's not. I'm just saying.
I didn't hear you say, did you see?
Yeah, I did. So,
I didn't hear. You may have
so it's a
said.
good thing for you to know, so that she's back on.
And,
She wants the
and-
minutes from the last few months, so she can catch up the last meeting.
it was up for
Oh, so you sent him a letter, right? Or Monica?
no. So we're going to start soon. All you have to do is press the link. We didn't know if we could even be on live. And then we're going to put up the link so that people can see how to call in right here. We're going to put the link up so that people can call in.
So that people will call in. Well, the only issue with that is that there's going to be
What?
Wait, this one.
oh yeah, okay.
How
no,
are
there won't be.
How are they going to call?
They're going to call in through the link.
You,
We're about to do
Are
it.
you sure?
yeah, when he means call, he means come on Zoom.
All you have to do
So
is
not
press
like
the
call.
link.
They'll join
They'll
us.
join.
And whenever you're ready. And Joanne will be on, I'll be on, and we'll set it up. Yeah, take your time. Take your time. Yeah, we have to give them the link or they won't call it.
Yeah.
So why is this Zoom able to go live, or this one, but the other one couldn't? Because he's doing, because Julian is doing changes.
He and John have worked out how to do it.
Yeah, it wasn't working before, so we
And
did some
hopefully Eric
jumping through
will
hoops.
do something to make this easier. If his group can do it.
Well, it was supposed to be able to work for the last one. It was, but for some reason, our YouTube channel was still giving us issues, which was frustrating him because that's not even on us.
Are we still not live on YouTube?
No, we're live. This is live. We are live, but he was saying for whatever reason it
Do we
wasn't.
need help with YouTube? I know the guy who's-
No, because even John and I discussed it. There's nothing else on our end that we could do to make that happen.
We probably lost a bunch of programming. I have no idea what.
How could you have lost programming?
Well, we lost this hour and a half. And we lost Jack. We lost 2.5 hours of programming.
But they're most of those are pre-recorded, so people can watch them.
Those two are not pre-recorded. Now they're recorded, and so we can put them up. We have to make room for them.
Well, I think the lesson is if we ever do this again, is to not do it live, to have everything.
Well, we may indeed use that lesson. Do we have live tomorrow? We have Bessel live. You know, we have Bessel live.
Maybe you can have them do it
That's
as
Thursday
earlier, and then
Are we going to worry about Bessel?
Why is that? Say it again, because he's live. When is he
Thursday
running the
morning.
show?
Thursday morning.
Is he running the show?
Yeah.
is there anyone else on it?
We should have us run the show.
Hey Siri, call Bessel Vanderkool.
He can add you as a host on it.
What?
But he can add you as a host on his Zoom meeting so that we can have.
Well, why don't we
Or
just
why
run
can't
it?
we do the Zoom?
We'll
But
do the Zoom and let them come on. We'll send them the link like we just did.
would that be better for them?
I don't know if it'll allow us to.
Yes,
present live
we're
in that
having
way
technical
as
issues with live
someone
programming.
who's not
So
controlling
we're
it.
trying to work it out.
It could be
so
the
that
case, so I'll look it
everything
up.
works for you on Thursday. We just lost 2 programs that were live today. We'll re-show them. But we think we've worked it out. But at this moment, our thought is for us to run the Zoom link here and have you guys come on to the Zoom link. I don't have to moderate. I can just be invisible, basically. Hold on a second.
Sure.
I'm going to put Julian on.
Hey, Bessa, this is Julian. Hi. Yeah, so essentially what we'll do is if you could, whenever you have a chance, go to your the invitation that you created for Zoom. Towards the bottom, they allow you to add other hosts. And if you could add Phil, his Wolfie at Wolfie. Yeah, if you could add his Wolfie at Wolfie.com email as another host, we will be fine, because essentially I'm just trying to bypass us creating a whole new Zoom and then people potentially getting confused with which link that they should be coming on, you know? So, I mean, we have enough time between now and then that we could, you know, get that out and let everyone know in time. But if possible, as I said, yeah, just go on Zoom, and where you have these scheduled Zooms. Hold on one second.
He's having difficulty with internet. Ask him if he has capacity here, or we should just do it.
I understand. Okay, yeah, and you can call Phil if there's any issues, and he can always put you in touch with me, and we'll get it fixed.
Hi, and welcome.
Yes.
We are beginning our session in which people can call in.
1 second. You're actually 3 minutes early.
It says live on YouTube.
I know. Don't worry about it.
Should I be recording?
It's recording. You just let, if anybody's there, just tell them, hold on.
What about Warren's just coming? Julian's coming.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, but there's one more before you finish with it. How do we set up the question and answer? Did you do that? The link.
Yeah, we'll make him a host. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'll be with him before. He wants to ask you something.
No.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I'm
We'll
good.
talk to you.
No, we don't have the Q&A up.
Do you want that first, or you do?
No, we want it now.
You want it now? Okay.
Yeah, you want me to
So
move?
so this no, you do the same as you usually do. You do a share screen. And then this is it here.
Oh, I didn't hear you'd already written it up.
Right. No worries. I don't hear anybody else.
Lauren's on. Speak, Lauren.
Hi.
Oh, okay. I was making sure.
Okay, you're a little loud, a little something.
I can be less loud.
Let's see. Can we write on this?
Yeah, you can write more if you want to.
Oh, yes, please. To tell your stories. Ask your questions. Something happened there. The ball is spinning.
Fun.
I was spinning ball.
Hi, Jelaine.
Hi.
Force quit.
Well, do we really want them telling their stories, or do we want them asking questions?
No, this is Lauren's idea of the coming out moment. There we go.
Okay.
We're not quite on yet. 4:59.
And who is Jarvis? Okay.
Obviously. Now we're on. Ron, you want to open us up?
Sure. Welcome, welcome, everybody. This is the Psychedelic Coming Out Party, which means it's a space to talk about psychedelic experiences and perhaps also how you've invited other people to join you, family members, friends, being super honest about how these different entheogens and compounds have supported your journey and really getting like juicy and transparent with your loved ones. So welcome, welcome to the space, and anything and everything is welcome and wanted.
So who wants to tell a story or ask a question? Who's on with us?
Who's here with us?
Emptiness is a spiritual experience.
Indeed.
Well, coming out stories. Lauren, you want to tell yours?
Yeah, sure. I like to say that my greatest accomplishment is converting my father to psychedelic experience. And I almost immediately, when I started my journey into consciousness in this way, I was honest with my dad and I was scared. I remember there was a moment I was sitting with my brother and also with my dad. And so it was my family. And my brother and I had had a psychedelic experience. My dad asked us what we did over the weekend. And we both looked at each other and gave each other this look like, are we going to tell this guy? Are we going to be honest? And we went for it. We went for the reveal. And my dad, who's a real tried and true New Yorker, been in California for decades, but he's from the Bronx and sounds like he's from the Bronx. He said, "You fucking doing drugs?" And he literally said it like that and was concerned.
Well, that's all about your father. What about you?
Oh, me? I mean, what do you want to know, Phil?
How old were you when you had
Or
that?
do you have a story that's
You have a great story.
that's that's a little bit not too revealing, but just something interesting about
Feel
how
as
you
much as you want.
you and I have talked a little bit, about coming into this world and the world of psychedelics and what that was like.
Yeah. I was I was a late bloomer. I started in my early 30s, and I immediately dropped into a lot of very spiritual content and family content. I think that one of my favorite stories to tell is with the mama plant, grandmother plant, and how I really got very specific downloads around how to behave within my own skin suit, within this kind of vessel. And this being human and having a body has been sort of evasive to me at times. And the mama was like very apparent and very instructional and very specific around what I needed to do. And I didn't like it at all.
You didn't want to do what she wanted you to do.
No, I did not. And not only did I not want to do it in like the space and time dimension in which we live in the here and now without these tools, but I also didn't want to do it like in the moment. Like it was very physically uncomfortable for me. And I found that whenever there was resistance on my end, whenever I was in protest, it became a lot more difficult. The experience was more painful. And whenever I would release into it, like there was a lot of relief and even a degree of pleasure and fun, and just going downstream, letting the tides carry me and letting myself be in flow versus resistance, which is like such a great analogy for life, right? When things are not working, like we can choose to fight to make them work, but they might just not work. And can you let that go and keep flowing? And then I got very clear directions, which again, I didn't love these directions. And I know that like so much of the beauty in psychedelic work is how we practice the uploads, how we practice what we access and experience. And grandma told me, she said, you got to do these things if you want your life to change. And for me specifically, it involved weighing myself. I was weighing myself all the time. And that was sort of my like thermometer for the day. It would tell me like, is it rainy outside? Is it sunny? Is it stormy? And, beyond a certain bracket, which was very small, I felt very uncomfortable going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And I was told that if I want my life to change, I need to throw that thing away, and that I get no back doors around it. Because I asked, well, can I keep it in my closet? And the answer was absolutely not. Mm-hmm. And I was also instructed that I would need to give up certain clothes, that I would need to throw certain sizes out and welcome like a softer, more feminine body. Which was and continues to be on some level challenging, but I got the message. And the message was, if you want your life to change, and there's a lot of beautiful experiences that I look forward to having still in my life as a woman, that I need to stop being so overly rigid around the vessel, and open to the flow of life in a body that breathes, in a body that's not like in a corset. And
what a beautiful story, Lauren. And and you're to open up about your femininity and some of your own struggles. And some of what you said brings to mind an earlier talk that was on, I think, yesterday. But the process of what happens with psychedelics is so much is in a non-linear way. And I think what you just described was just because you're getting directions, and part of you know that they're probably good directions, you don't necessarily jump up and say, okay. It's like, okay, I have directions, and things bubble and change, and other messages or thoughts or feelings, memories come up. And at some point though, if it's the right path, that's what you end up following, which you did. And look at you. You're very beautiful, and you're doing such wonderful work, with people that come to you and being out there in the world.
Thank you, Jelaine. It's a measure of self-love, and when we can soften around our edges, and I believe that these tools are some of the most potent in getting me to do so. The space in which I'm afforded and able to contribute and to serve widens, mm-hmm. and it becomes more obvious, like the how and where of it all. Right. Like it's like if I'm good with me, like I'm gonna be real good with you.
Yeah. I had you and I have talked before, and what's similar about our path is I was also a late bloomer, latecomer to this world, much later than you, but to really come to it. But part of that, and I think if there are any listeners out there, it's a story I hear from people who come to me for work, and the fear and the anxiety that people have at starting, say, ketamine work or MDMA work. Some of it is a fear of their own mind, and that's what happened to me. That when I was in college, I had an experience where, and this again is the lesson about know what you're taking and know your source of medicine. So I was taking something somewhat innocently, or using something that ended up being laced with something that was dangerous. And I was so frightened after that of ever doing any sort of psychedelic or anything that would change my brain or mind, that I stayed away from it for decades. Because of that, I was afraid that I wouldn't come back from any sort of medicine okay, that something negative would happen. And so when I finally did start this work again, when my kids were grown, I started small, because you can always take more, you can't take less. And under the wisdom of somebody who knew this work and I could trust. And so I gradually became more confident. And that's what I see with some of, so many of my clients, is that when they come back and they realize that they didn't go crazy, they came back of what I call sound mind and body, and better than when they started, stronger, more confident, that also changes their lives. Having that confidence of confidence in your own mind and your own body, that you will be okay, you will prevail, is so important.
Julian, how did you get into the space of willingness to try again?
Well, it was, you know, I think part of what kept me away from it was I was in the medical field. I had a career in interventional cardiology, and I was just straight as an arrow. And then I went back later in life and started studying psychology, and I became so interested in the mind. And I didn't know anybody in this world, but then when I met Phil, and he very, you know, gracefully offered to help introduce me very carefully and slowly, knowing how afraid I was. And so that's how I began this part. And also I had the opportunity to be part of, or to help run the MDMA study, a phase 2 study. And so I really did need to, like we all know, we need to understand medicine before we work with people. So that was part of it as well. And I'm very happy that I did it that way.
It's so important. I find like a lot of people that are starting to work in the space don't have any of their own experiences, which is like kind of mind-boggling to me. Like, how do you? No, just no.
Yeah, and that's, you know, a good question, good to bring up too, that some of our clients, many of them, especially with ketamine work, but also MDMA or other medicines, they want to know, they'll ask, have you done this? They're fearful, they're afraid. The reassurance is that, yes, you know, I know what this is like. You know, everybody at our clinic believes and knows that we have to understand every dose of ketamine, for example, low dose, higher dose, we have to understand what it's like so that we can help guide you and help you as you go through that. We understand what you're feeling, what your visions, we understand your fear, your anxiety, and we understand your euphoria. So it's really, really important that we all practice what we preach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bill, I'm curious about your coming out stories.
Are you there, Mr. Wolfson?
Trying to be here. You're trying to get me here.
Ah!
It's yes. The problems are so difficult. I'm thinking about jumping off the bridge. That's why it's there. Not really, folks. Not really. It's just that we're having so many technical issues on day 2 with live programming, and we want people to call in, and we'll put the message back up. But we haven't had anybody calling in, which makes us wonder how live we are. Anyway,
well, we're live.
What is the title of our spot here, so that people know? I think the title is such that they understand what.
Warren created the title. The title is
Psychedelic Coming Out Hour.
Right. So I think I've come out so many times in so many ways that, you know.
How did you come out to your son?
To my son?
Yeah.
Years ago, I wrote a paper that I published in MAPS called Suggested Rules for the Road, about not being a hypocritical parent with children around medicines, particularly medicines that were obliterative, like marijuana, which wasn't legal, and around MDMA. And I always felt that I didn't want to lie to my children, but there was a certain age at which children might get it or not get it. And during the time my kids were growing up, it was the the DARE program, whatever DARE
Oh,
stood
yeah.
for. You know, don't take any medicines because you'll die, or something like that. That the DEA was NIDA were putting out to scare people, and they had people running around the schools. It's not so long ago, telling kids that if they ever took a puff of marijuana, they would be dead, or stupid stuff, because the kids they were talking to basically had already taken puffs of marijuana, even in middle school in the Bay Area and elsewhere. That was certainly true. And I just didn't want to be a hypocrite to my children, ever. And I thought there was a time at which I could feel comfortable smoking in front of them and making them aware of what I was doing without causing them fear and without making them feel like we were some sort of freak show. And, families did in those days, still do to some extent, say to their children, don't share with other people. A family matter is a family affair. And sometimes that's very destructive, because families are at times abusive to their children or their parents and to each other. And so they don't tell the world about what's really going on, can be also a way of locking up a kind of violence and abuse in a family. But that was what we were about. So also, as my kids were getting into high school, and one of them was sick, so he really had no interest in anything other than getting through his illness. And he was on so many drugs already for leukemia that he really abhorred the thought of putting anything in his body, because all the things he was putting in his body were so toxic. He had some experience with Marinol, which is pharmaceutical marijuana used for nausea, which still is THC, so you get stoned, but that was much later. Whereas, my younger son, who can speak for himself because he's running this whole show, he went to high school in the aftermath of his brother's death, just after. And that high school, like all high schools in the Bay Area, have people doing substances, kids doing substances. And I had an open policy. My view was, I don't want you going to the streets and buying shit from people you don't know and paying money and not knowing what you're getting. And there were too many freakouts. San Francisco, money does bad things to people, and money causes bad things to happen to people, because people try and get as much money they can for doing as poorly by humans often as they can. So, adulterated drugs are often the name of the game. And sometimes the adulterants are not very healthy adulterants. Strychnine was one. So anyway, my policy was, if you're going to smoke weed, here it is. It's on the counter. It's up on the shelf. You want it, you got it. I'm not keeping track. If it disappears too fast, we're going to have a talk. But here it is. No bullshit. And let's live life together in trust. And I would say that worked really well. And in fact, it took quite some time before Eric Helix really did that and used it. And it was in concert with other kids in high school. And I think it really worked well. Plus, they were exposed during Noah's illness to our use of MDMA, which we did as a family unit with the adults using MDMA. I wrote about it in my first book. And we would have family time. So why would we have family time? Because in the midst of the crisis of a child having a terrible illness and suffering, you're constantly taking care, you're constantly at it, you're constantly doing things. And family time was a bit of a break. It was, put on the music. Sometimes the kids we had a period where they'd get on the table in the back room overlooking the bay in San Francisco, and it was called Naked Time. And just dance naked on the coffee table while their parents are, laid out on the sofas, with MDMA playing and having fun and hanging out. And the kids never used it. It was always very safe, and it became something that the kids would even say, "Hey, when are we having family time?" Because it was a respite, and that's still true. I mean, the use of MDMA, as so many people do in the ground, I don't call it the underground, it's a respite. It's a respite for couples. It's a respite for coming together and, not doing the ordinary and being able to share better. So you're not blitzed out on a substance. You're not a sharing methodology that the substance provides. So, that was sort of like the ways in which I try to teach and represent, as an example, the open use of substances in a way that was very thoughtful. I would never use obliterative substances. I didn't want my kids to watch me writhing on the bed in ayahuasca or vomiting or things of that sort. So it's about judgment. It's about connection, judgment, trust, intimacy, and that you trust your kids. Because a lot of people, make their kids into betrayers. You're going to rat me out. You're telling me the world will know I'm doing this, and you're my enemy that way. And I don't believe in having any enemy relationships with my children. I believe in friendship, for safety first, for friendship overall, and as children grow up and into older ages, adolescence, adulthood, I want my friendships. I did all this to have friends. I didn't do all this having a child to, have people who didn't like me and who wanted to go turn the other cheek when I walked around the corner. I mean, I want my children to be my friends. I want my friends' children to be their friends. I want people's children to be their friends and parents to be friends to their children. So that was that. The coming out with MDMA was 1982 or 3 with Sasha and Ann Shulgin at their home. And I was being a shrink and looking for ways to help people. And I got a wonderful introduction from Leo Zeff to Sasha, and they invited us over, as they did with people. They educated people in the legal times of MDMA use, and they turned us on, and we had this amazingly wonderful, warm experience in Sasha and Ann's living room, which was a piece of work, psychedelic in its way, old form, and very, very interesting place. And Sasha, Ann, and I, and Alice, who was my wife till 88, really 90, became very close friends. Sasha became one of my best friends. We traveled together, hung out together. We made MDMA together when it was legal. California physicians are legally entitled to make medicines, and that was a legal medicine. And Sasha and I made MDMA, I think, twice. And that was, Sasha's lab was like the most extraordinary museum that ever existed. It's still slightly there, but at its peak, it was just a place of rusty beams, decaying substances, smells that could knock you off your feet, and substances of any kind, diligently labeled and hanging from different places on different shelves with all kinds of chemistry material around. And Sasha was a genius. And so,
Phil, do you remember how to make it?
Oh, in my sleep. Yeah,
Oh,
you can't make it.
You do have a good memory. I'll say that for you.
Oh, I have a good memory. The problem with making MDMA is that all the precursors for MDMA were rapidly made illegal. There were short steps to making MDMA that you started with safflower oil, and but then they banned safflower oil. Nobody could get it. I don't know how people make MDMA now. There are many, many different ways. but the basic way was taken away.
I do have just to digress 1 second.
Please be my guest.
Do we have, you're running this, do we have a way for people to know how to come on Zoom with us if they're watching this? Do they know what to do?
Right there.
Okay, I didn't know if that was showing or not.
That was it. They hit the link. They come on. They can ask a question, make a comment.
Okay,
And can you see, Phil, if people come in?
Yeah, we should be able to hear them. If all is going well, we should know and hear them. We haven't heard anyone yet.
but do we know if people are just watching it or only if they try to come in to be part of it?
On the YouTube link, I dare not do that. Julian, our buddy, is taking care of that.
Okay.
We've had so much trouble today with live shows that we're not going to mess with it. We'll have to tell our own stories. So,
well, one thing I did find out by asking one of our younger colleagues that did the youth and psychedelic show on Monday, I asked what DARE was because I couldn't remember. So it means drug abuse resistance education, which is a mouthful, but it's just the name of it probably shows why it didn't work very well. Resistance. Yeah.
What was really terrible about it is that you talk to the kids, you know, decent humans would come on and try and convince kids not to use, and they would use such stupid inflammatory talk that, you know, the kids are sitting there in the auditorium and they're saying, no, that didn't happen. No, I've done that 30 times. No, it didn't happen. You know, so there was just that level of bullshit, but it scared a lot of people. It scared a lot of parents. So someone came on. Look at that.
Welcome.
Well, they almost came on.
They're there. She's connecting to audio right now.
Oh, good. But it scared a lot.
Hello, Natalie, is that right?
Hi.
Natalie. Hi.
Did I miss this? Or
No, you're right on
You're
time.
fine. You're
oh,
fine.
cool. Okay.
Welcome.
Hi.
We've been chatting about all kinds of things to do with psychedelics and young people and new
Natalie, did you have any
experiences.
difficulty finding this? Were we visible?
You were, yeah. I was just kind of exploring the page and I saw this and I'm like, oh, this looks interesting.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We're so happy to have you. We've also been talking about our own, you know, initial experiences and how we, you know, communicate in family systems, how parents share with their children, how children share with their parents, and the whole wide world of coming out of the psychedelic closet.
Yeah. Cool.
What's your experience?
I think psychedelics brought me closer to my father. It's like I finally understood him. But because he had explained his psychedelic experience to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and then after he passed, I think I still very much connect with him through like psilocybin.
So what we were talking about earlier, that, you know, there are some people, you know, in a really beautiful way have done some psychedelics with their parents. And I'm wondering if was it your own work with psychedelics that helped you get closer to your father, or did you, is that something that you shared together?
Both. I mean, I think that my first time experiencing psychedelics, I felt like I finally understood him and I called him and we connected. And then I think that that's just a way that I've always been able to also stay connected with him in his afterlife.
Were you very young when he died? What happened to him?
No, he died of natural causes at the age of 63 years ago. I think he was just ready to ascend. And no, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. And we've always been close. We were always close.
Well, it is interesting, psychedelics, some psychedelics, different for different people. But when one can have a mystical experience or connection of universal connection or something outside of your self, being able to connect that way. And different medicines allow different people to do that. You can feel, a loved one who's passed away. You can feel their presence. You might be more sensitive or aware of that than if you had not done medicine. Do you think that's so for you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I've certainly felt my mom in psychedelic experiences, who's passed away probably at about the same time as your father. And I have had the privilege also of having psychedelic experiences with my dad. And it's such a beautiful like space to get close to the people that you love.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had an MDMA experience with my father, but it was very difficult. He was in the midst of his first late life full break. He had a full psychotic break after my mother had died. He was 71 and nothing was working. And I thought, well, let's see if MDMA can help at all. And for a little while, he smoothed and got a little less afraid. But as in so many people who are stricken, when there's intimacy that's a bit overwhelming, come too close too fast, there's a flight from it. And, it didn't have a lasting effect. But my siblings did it with me, with him. And we tried.
Siblings count.
Yeah.
My favorite is doing psychedelics with my brother. That's my fave.
Yeah.
Natalie, where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles right now.
Ah, where
Yeah. Huh?
Where in LA?
Calabasas.
Cool. Are you happy to be in the Burning Man experience this way?
I am happy to be in the Burning Man experience. I've been on quite an adventure this year. It feels like I've had so many lives in 2020. I've been thinking about that a lot today. I was in New York. I was living in New York during the height of the pandemic in the city. And I stayed put, and it was like being in a movie. But I guess that's what I choose, because I like living in movies. So then from there, I lasted about, I think almost like 90 days in solo quarantine in my tiny New York City apartment. And then I went to go spend some time with my family. I went to go see my mom in Florida so she wouldn't be alone. I know I've been traveling too much during the pandemic, but now I'm in California because I also couldn't stand being in Florida.
Good. Well, stay safe.
I'm staying safe. I'm in good health, and I'm being very respectful and being responsible.
But I can imagine in New York for a while there, I mean, they had to do it, but people were pretty panicked and they were very, very isolated.
It was it was. And just to see the city like that, is so crazy when you go from and seeing it like shut down and that process of it all shutting down.
Yeah, it is very movie-like. I mean, I think there were some movies that were coming out, pandemic type movies at the same time. But to see the streets of New York or Manhattan without cars or anybody out and about was
wild.
Yeah.
It is like this sort of collective psychedelic experience, sort of this, ayahuasca purge of like over and over and over. And it's like, let's get it out. Let's get it out.
Totally. Yeah. It's everything is very surreal. But I feel like maybe because I've experienced psychedelics and because I have had the rug taken from underneath my feet so many times, or like have been used to working from home or all these different things. Like I although it's such a huge global occurrence, I felt that because of the experiences I've had, I wasn't as shaken as a lot of people.
Cool. Good. Well, do you have any questions for our illustrious panel? All the pressure's on you, Natalie.
Wow.
one
I didn't even know I was
you're
gonna, I
one
literally just clicked I didn't know if the link was even working. I was not prepared.
You don't have to have questions. We don't have answers anyway, so don't worry.
Or we have too many answers.
I guess what types of medicines have you guys been taking lately?
Very good question. You're making us reveal.
Well, this is called the K-Dome because we're ketamine practitioners.
Oh,
Ketamine's
okay.
legal psychedelic. So what we're basically talking about is psychedelic psychotherapy and in general, but we're also focused on how ketamine is an incredible tool for working with people and being with yourself.
Yeah, it's an antidepressant also, isn't it?
It has that effect. Most
Yeah, so a
psychedelic
wonderful antidepressant.
Yeah.
antidepressants.
Have you experienced ketamine?
I have, yeah. It's nice. Yeah. A couple years ago in Los Angeles and then in Berlin.
Everybody does ketamine in Berlin. I've heard stories about people on dance floors injecting themselves while they're dancing.
Woo!
The most wild Berlin stories.
And that one's hard for me. I can't imagine, but I know that people can do that. But I think we are, of course, are using it as an assisted psychotherapy. But for this program, all of our programs, we think it's also important for people to be able to talk about street use, not only of ketamine, but of other medicines, because that's been so much of the learning curve and the focus of making MDMA legal, making psilocybin legal. Ketamine is already legal, but being able to have all these medicines being used in a very intentional, safe way, so that we don't go back,
Yeah.
up in time and have a rebound of people afraid of it. So
Well,
but I think it's important to be able to talk that, yeah, I used it on the street, but I've also used it with a guide or with a clinician, and what the difference is.
Big
Yeah,
difference.
I mean, I have friends that have it prescribed, and I'm aware of all those things. And
Well, there are a lot of stories about people misusing ketamine. And I think there's a percentage that are true, but ketamine dependency, it doesn't seem that frequent. I've had two people I've seen with ketamine dependency. One is a fellow, MD, who had too much chemical knowledge. He was a chemist, and he certainly got hooked and went through some very bad times because of his misuse of it. And, we're all for proper use, and without starting to sound religious and like the DARE program is happening on this channel. It's just that we are for setting proper, thoughtful use of ketamine. It's a truly powerful medicine. Well, Natalie.
well, guys, thank you for having me. It was really nice connecting with you. What a surprise.
Yeah, so fun. We're all
Yeah, I liked it. The user experience, like I was able to click on the event and see the time. It was pretty self-explanatory. So
Okay.
hope you'll be able to catch some more Zooms.
Oh, we have great stuff coming, Natalie.
Wonderful. It was such a pleasure to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, we lost our one protagonist.
I think she, people will come on, they may just want to be listening, and if they're not prepared, they may not want to be the focus. So that could have been a little hard for her.
I think there are thousands of such people, Julian, who are listening, but Lauren's task of revealing themselves as a first glance, that was it takes a certain courage to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
And we were
Yeah.
very welcoming.
Yes, and I think It's such a fun experiment that we're all in, right? Like, how is this all like unfolding? It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been probably on our end, or especially Phil's end, and Eric's end, it's just been such, it's been hard. The pressure's been hard.
The technology's been hard, but the experiences.
The experience is wonderful. The speakers, what people are offering is just amazing.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like working with technical stuff when we're not used to doing that. That part's been hard, but we've learned a lot.
Yeah, no, it's been a peak experience, really. So we could stop if we want to. What do you want to do?
How are you doing, Lauren? You've done a lot. You've done a lot of recordings and reached out to so many people. How are you? How's your head?
It's been such a beautiful project to be an intimate part of, and I'm so proud of everything that's been put together. And for sure, it's been a lot for everyone. I mean, I get to also record 30 minutes of yoga, which I might do as soon as
Have you done it yet?
No, I think I'm gonna do it right as soon as we close.
Because we gotta put it in the program.
I'm in touch with Julian. I know my things that I need to do. So I'm just getting ready to do my
Okay.
my move.
Did you listen to the music last night, David Starfire's music?
I did not. And I've had some people tell me that they've struggled to get in.
I have no idea.
I know. I don't either.
I think there are just a lot of technicalities that are on the Infinite Playa and that are just causing mayhem. And they're working on how to keep us going in this two-dimensional framework with some difficulty while they're trying to get, the 3D avatar stuff going.
Yeah.
And they keep pushing the date back a little bit at a time in order to make sure that it works well. So I've heard Friday now for ticket sales. And today we thought it would be easier, but we lost 2 programs. We're just going to repeat them because we recorded them. And everybody should hear Jack Cornfield's wonderful program.
Yeah.
Really, really lovely, sweet, thoughtful. And we just did a wonderful program on family therapy with psychedelics and with a great group. And so that was supposed to be live. So we're missing the live ones. We'll put them back up. We may have to start the programs earlier. We have such a full agenda. I may have to move some things to 9 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. But that's East Coast time, 12 noon. So we'll do what we got to do.
We have a new human. How exciting.
Well, shall we give up the vote?
There's Susan Criswell.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Welcome.
Oh, thank God someone's come in.
I just logged on to see all the different happenings at Burning Man. I saw this one was live, so I thought I'd check it out. But if you guys are done, it's fine. No worries.
Well, what we've been talking about, this was the first time we tried this to see, if people, had experiences they may want to integrate, if they had questions about medicines, if they had stories they wanted to tell. But this was our trial run of this sort of thing. So if you have anything, we'd happy to talk with you. We've been telling our own stories so far and talking about many different subjects.
I don't know if I have anything. Is this something you usually do at Burning Man?
No, it's okay, Susan. You don't have to make something up. Have you been traveling around the various camps? Have you seen good stuff?
This is literally the first thing I've done.
Welcome. Well, you get a live welcome. This is
Well, there's many wonderful. We were just actually talking amongst ourselves. We've all been involved in some of the at least the programming in our camp, and there's so many wonderful talks, panels on all kinds of different subjects. Ketamine being primary, but not all. We had Jack Cornfield on earlier today, and it's just a lot. So if you peruse some of the offerings, I'm sure you'll find things that are really interesting.
Yeah, and anything and everything you want to know about ketamine and pretty much about psychedelics. We've had quite a wonderful show on ayahuasca from the Spanish group Iceers, all kinds of stuff.
Wow. Okay. I will check those out.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Happy burn.
Thanks. Likewise.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up and I'll go run onto my mat and do some 30 minutes of yoga.
All right. It was great to see you, Lauren. Congratulations.
Oh my gosh,
You're doing.
I want to come back already. I'm already ready to come back.
Okay. All right. I know we weren't going to talk about our one.
That was a good one, Delaine.
It was.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a good one.
All right. I love you guys.
I love you both. I love you both. Talk soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.